This is Minecraft. Such a gorgeous game, isn't it? You know, the more I research about this game, the more I realize just how thought out everything really is. Even the most minute detail has a purpose. I'm sure you know what this item is. It's a painting. It's not really that useful in the game. Its only use is for aesthetic purposes. And even then, most players prefer to use other means to design their builds. But even an unimportant item like this has something to say. Now, before I even start talking about the Minecraft paintings, a YouTuber by the name of Solar Sands already made an amazing video about this, and there's just no way I can compete with it. But the great thing about examining and appreciating art is that no two people can find the same answer to what the art means to them. Even though me and Solar Sands are looking at the same paintings, we found two completely different perspectives on them. And I think it's really fascinating that that happened. So, after watching this video, why not give his video a try too? When observing the Minecraft paintings, you can almost immediately tell that there is something deeper about them. They aren't just there to be eye candy for you to look at. There's a certain emotion or tone that it's trying to convey. The creator of these paintings is Christopher Zetterstrand, a Swedish painter who specializes in mixing traditional art with pixelated video game graphics and 3D rendered worlds. When first looking at his works and his style of painting, you see the world of video games and computer graphics mixing with the real world. It gives you an almost uncanny and uneasy feeling, seeing something so unnatural. But then the more you really look at it, it gives another feeling, a feeling of nostalgia and comfort almost. It's like the unnatural video game aspects of the paintings were always meant to be there. Zetterstrand explained that as a kid, he was always interested in both painting and in the early video games, but he hadn't mixed those two worlds just yet. Zetterstrand was also fascinated by the way older video game creators were limited by the low amount of colors they could use, which is why they had to be creative in creating pretty landscapes, as shown here. Let's take a look at one of the paintings by Christopher Zetterstrand for Minecraft, The Pointer. This painting has always been one of my favorites in the game. I always thought it looked really fancy because of its white and black color palette. I really liked the contrast it showed from the characteristics in Zetterstrand's other works that I observed. In his other works, the pixelated video game parts in the paintings are what seems to be out of place. But in this picture here, it looks like the human hand is what's out of place. But yet the little character is the only one pixelated. To me, it's almost as if this painting conveys a kind of first contact with these pixelated characters and objects. The next painting we should look at is The Fighters. I was never really a fan of this painting. It always looked too muddy and unclean in the game for me, and I was more of a fan of the brighter and cleaner paintings anyway. In this painting, the video game aspects have increased. There are now two pixelated fighting characters. The characters can be seen almost posing in front of what seems to be an artificial backdrop, standing on what looks like some sort of stage, with a strong light source coming from the right side, being halfway blocked from something, like a studio light or spotlight. Again, all observations being shown are just my perspective on things. I may be very wrong, but that's the beauty of art. No one can ever be 100% correct on what a painting conveys, because paintings can convey multiple things. To me, this painting shows how these pixelated aspects of the paintings are made somewhat artificially. I think it shows that pixelated characters and worlds are fictional and not part of our reality. It shows a distinct separation between the two. I think it was also intentional that a big part of the painting was cut out for the game. It's like they're trying to hide the fact that these scenes and images are not real. Now, let's take a look at the third painting we have today, Kong. This painting is the only painting wherein I can actually recognize what the game, the pixelated aspects of it, comes from. It's from Donkey Kong. Zerastrand really enjoys showing the contrast between these realistic and deep backgrounds and scenery and the almost comically flat pixelated aspects of the painting. He even admits to intentionally exaggerating this contrast by putting a shadow for them. Maybe at this point you already have at least some sort of idea of what these paintings are making you feel and what lesson or emotion Zerastrand is trying to convey. Because for me, I have a very clear idea of what these art pieces show me. Let's take a look at the last batch of paintings I want to cover for this video, Graham and the Golden Apple. Now, these two paintings, at least for me, are the two most fascinating paintings I have seen from the game. These paintings seem to follow a pixelated character, seemingly from the video game world, who is wearing a gray hat and gray pants and an orange t-shirt. In both paintings, the character is striking the same pose with one leg up, almost like in a walking or running position, and their arms on their side. Maybe it could also be interpreted as having their hands in their pocket. You can see this pixelated character in Minecraft in the paintings. Upon further research, it seems that this character is from the game called King's Quest, which is pretty cool. But what I really want to put emphasis on are the worlds they are in the paintings. Zerastrand really loves hammering in that uncanny and uneasy feeling when you first look at these paintings. I mean, just look at them. It's so eerie and unnatural, almost scary or revolting in a way. But yet again and again, as you immerse yourselves in these scenes, the horizon starts to mesh together in a way that somehow gives you the sense of peace. The painting doesn't look any more natural, and it is still obvious that these pixelated and video game aspects are still different from what we call reality. But even then, you still gain something from it. If there's one thing that these paintings have taught me, is that what feels different or unnatural at first can turn into something amazing when you just give it enough time. I remember when I first started playing video games, my parents, although they weren't that strict nor controlling, they would always still ask me, why do I spend so much of my time and effort on video games when I gain seemingly nothing from it in the real world? And in a way, they're right. None of the things I make or the items I find ever actually get used in the real world. I can't use the diamonds that I found while mining for my future career. In Zerastrand's artist talk, he said this:
by also contrasting the pixelated elements from old games with more naturalistic parts, it kind of creates a new story where I don't really need to adhere to the conventions of a specific reality level. It's like the new painting creates its own reality.
It's like the new painting creates its own reality. As we immerse ourselves in these games, the world of the game starts to mix with our world, and in that it almost creates a new type of world, a world where the limits of the real world don't exist, and it is our creativity that is the ruler. But at the same time, this new reality is still not reality. There will be a time where we will have to leave and face our own. I believe that these paintings express through art the hard to explain feeling that we get when we are immersed in a game, where just for a moment we have left our reality behind and are allowing this new reality to be our own. All the problems, responsibilities, and pressures of our world are gone, and in that sense, this unnatural sense of peace of mind is found. Video games have always had this amazing ability to let the minds of its users run free. I believe this is why so many of us gravitate towards it. In the world of video games, we are immersed. We are in this new amazing reality, and that's okay. For a moment, we are removed from this world and are transported into a different one. And I think That is the message of Zoroastrian's paintings back then. And as his craft improves and his style changes, Zoroastrian still shows that sense of immersion in his pieces, which is why Zoroastrian's paintings are right where they belong, in the world where hundreds of millions of people are transported into another reality, in the reality and world of Minecraft.